Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of TC Talk. My name is Therese, and thanks for stopping by. So yeah, I thought I'd give my thoughts on The Northman, and I saw this movie a couple of days ago. It is actually one of the first movies that I've seen directed by Robert Eggers. And if you don't know who that director is, he's also directed movies like The Lighthouse and The Witch. So The Northman is his third entry into feature film land. And wow, I have a lot to say about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk but also show some images from the trailer, and based on this first image you can pretty much guess it's where we're headed. It's not an easy to watch movie. It's pretty brutal, and basically it tells the story of Amleth. Now, if that name sounds familiar to you, that might be because this story, which is an old Norwegian folktale, correct me if I'm wrong on this, is actually what inspired Shakespeare to write this story or the play of Hamlet. So if you know what the story of Hamlet is, well, you pretty much know how this story at least starts off. It starts off with the boy prince who sees his let me show you some shots. There's Amleth, that's a boy, and he basically sees his father getting murdered by his uncle Fionir. His uncle ends up overtaking the kingdom and kidnapping his mother. So there's Fionir. And that basically kicks off his quest for vengeance, which he takes a few years to do. And wow, it's a very brutal and beautiful movie at the same time. It's a very interesting combination of how Robert Eggers does this. And I have to say, I wasn't expecting to see a movie like this in theaters, especially not in today's climate. And when I say that, I guess it could be argued that, with this introduction of and a large saturation of superhero movies, people go in watching a movie for a very particular sort of experience. Quick cuts, action movies, spectacle. There is spectacle in this movie, to be sure, especially with the shots, but it's a very different movie. And people have said this before, watch the trailers to see what you're getting. But also, don't just expect back-to-back action, because there's so much more to that than what the trailers might lead you to believe. It's very, very, especially with the acting, it's very, very theatrical to the point of almost being Shakespearean, save them actually speaking Old English Shakespearean. It's that sort of mindset that you probably should be getting into, because it's not just about vengeance. There's also a lot of Viking mysticism and religion, and you get to see, and spiritualism too. You get to see quite a lot of that. And actually Bjork, she plays, let's see if I can find it. Bjork actually plays a seer. So she prophesizes that he will basically take revenge, take his place on the throne. So it has been said, and I do agree with this, that this is not only a story of Hamlet, but there is a little bit of Macbeth in this story as well. So yeah, and at this point, I'm gonna go into spoiler land. So if you don't want to get spoiled, actually I won't spoil it, just because I actually do think that you guys should watch this. If you don't get the chance, you know what? Do yourself a favor and watch this in theaters, because I think it actually deserves it. I mean, I'm fully of the opinion that we need more movies like this, where you actually feel like this is fully on board with what the director actually envisioned, without a lot of producer, studio, what have you, investor interference and all that sort of stuff. If you are in the film industry in the same way that I am, and I'm an independent filmer, you'll know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it feels like this is a movie that he wanted to make. And yeah, Nicole Kidman is in this as well. So she plays the mother, the queen, who basically gets kidnapped, and he wants to rescue his mom. And yeah, the guy that plays Amleth as an adult I think his name is Alexander Skarsgård, and he buffed up for this role, as you can see. So if you're looking for brutality, you will get it in this movie. Just wait for it, because it's worth it, especially the final fight. So yeah, as you can see, he takes some time. He comes back as a grown man to take his vengeance. And if you're thinking, without spoiling too much, that Fenrir has become this feeble old man, his uncle has become this feeble old decrepit man, you're gonna be sorely disappointed, because the final fight is between them two. and oh my god, it's pretty fucking badass. And I'll just leave it at that because this is something that you need to see and get the whole theater experience for. But the way that this movie is shot, when someone says it, when people use the word cinematic, I do find that has a tendency to be overused a little bit. But I definitely would use the word cinematic to describe this movie. I really would. With the way that the camera is moved, where it's slow and intentional, it tells the story as much as the performance do, like it's an art piece in itself. Yeah, this is an art house movie. You may not see, but you might not guess it based on what the trailers would show. But it actually is without it. And when I say art house, it's very slow and methodically paced. And you may not, that might not make sense for a revenge tale, but in my opinion, it actually works because there's a lot more that's going on. So yeah, is it unpredictable? There are some. When it comes to the tale of vengeance, it does go to a very solid conclusion. You probably would see that coming. But yeah, without that, it's still satisfying on at the same time. So yeah, there's some really gorgeous shots to be said here, and I think this was shot in Ireland. At least that's one of the places. And this is Anna Taylor-Joy, so she plays a Slavic slave. So basically, what Amleth does, that he stows away as a slave to bide his time to find where the king has gone to, the new king has gone to. So that's kind of his shadow plan. And he ends up being a berserker. That first fight scene. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is a very unforgiving movie. If you're a child or wife, don't expect anyone to take mercy on you. There is no mercy in this universe. There's no mercy in this world. Fight for yourself, otherwise, you know what? God help you. Because no one else is going to, really. That's just... You're on your own. That's pretty much what this world is created. But with that said, goddamn, it's gorgeous. And lots of fighting shots is that as well. So, yeah. Yeah, and I have to say as well, it's not an epic tale that I've seen done in a very, very long time. Even though there's a lot of brutality in this movie, it's not over the top to the point of being, torture porn. And when I say that, if you know what, I guess maybe Gladiator is, definitely if you know what 300 is and how they kind of just made everything spectacle, this is very, very different. So even when, people are getting murdered, people are getting disfigured, when people are having sex, it's much more artfully done. And it's not like 300 where they just shove it in your face. It's very, very different. And I think because of and I guess if I'm gonna at the top of my head talk about how that's done, is a lot of it's done in shadows, silhouette. It's much more implied, even though you basically know exactly what's happening without it being so forefront to the point where it's overwhelming. So yeah, this is my first movie watching Robert Eggers, and it does make me want to see what his previous movies are like, because man, this movie is an experience. Let me just say that. So I am glad that this movie was made, and especially on the budget too. So this budget, I think was around 70 to 90 million. I have a suspicion that it's not gonna be it's not gonna be a financial box office wowing success, because that's just not how this movie is, which I do find very unfortunate. I do. More people should see this, but it's not a movie for everybody, especially in like today's one. It's not gonna be to everybody's taste. If you are a big fan of the Marvel stuff, the mainstream stuff, go in with different expectations. I guess that's all I can say, because you're gonna get something very, very different. And there have been instances where I've had that people have walked out because they kind of felt bored, just out of the way, because the pacing is very different. You're not gonna see stuff get blown up and go to shit just every 5 seconds. You're gonna have to work for its conclusion and actually be there, be present for you to actually engage and be with this movie. If that's not what you like doing in the movie theater, this is probably not gonna be the movie for you. But man, did I enjoy this movie a lot. despite the fact that it's not an easy movie to digest. It takes time. You probably want to rewatch it. And yeah, the performances, the actors did a fantastic job. Like Ethan Hawke, when his final, there's a lot of monologuing. That's why I kind of say, like I alluded to the point that it's very Shakespearean. They do a fantastic job, and I think only people that have really long experience with acting could probably do this. And the acting is like I said, it's theater. It's almost theater acting where they're fully present. It's very different. I don't know where to put my hand, like my finger on it. All I know is that it's a different vibe than what you're probably going to get. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Check out the set pieces too. Apparently, the attention to detail in terms of historical accuracy was very well done. Then again, that the Robert Eggers, Alexander Skarsgård is, I think, a Scandinavian, so I'm not too surprised about that, to be quite honest. But do check out this movie. I highly recommend you check it out. And yeah, I'm not gonna give any ratings because I just think, like I said before, this is not gonna be a movie for everybody. But I do think it's worth just watching. Even watch the trailers, just see what shots you're gonna get. At least give yourself faith that Hollywood and mainstream media can offer something a little bit unique, especially this year, especially with stuff like Everything Everywhere All at Once and Nicolas Cage's movie, Waste of Incredible Talent. I botched up that name. I'm sorry, but yeah, that is my review, folks. As always, if you please like myself, please share and subscribe. Please comment, let me know what your thoughts are on this movie, and I'll see you next time.